بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we have been discussing on our series concerning wisdoms of actions that according to Shah Waliullah Delvi Rahmatullah alayhi states in Hujjatullah al-Baligha, and Allama Sayyid Palampuri in Rahmatullah al-Wasiya expounds that the shiar are four, that is Quran Kareem, the Kaaba, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Salah. Alhamdulillah, we have been discussing a little bit about Quran Kareem. Remember, at the outset, these signs of Allah, the shiar of Allah, these chief characteristics of Allah, these symbols, they are those which we have to love, respect, honor, revere, defend, protect. And we have to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguards the shiar, the symbols. And a second principle that we have to worry about is that if we honor the shiar of Allah, and if we respect the symbols of Allah, and if we revere the chief characteristics of Allah, and if we love and defend and protect the characteristics of Islam, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has classified us as pious, righteous, fearing Allah, having taqwa, having righteousness, having this quality which Allah wants every individual to have. However, a warning, stern and firm and severe warning, is for those, Muslim or non-Muslim, who disrespect the shiar of Allah, who dishonor the shiar of Allah, who decry and degrade the symbols of Allah, who attempt to destroy or demolish the symbols of Allah. For them, there is punishment in this world, and punishment awaits them in the Akhirat. This is the system of Allah, which we will be, inshallah, discussing, especially when it comes to the Quran Kareem, the Kaaba, that how people try to come against the shiar of Allah, and Allah Jalla Majdahu caught hold of them, gripped them firmly, and pulverized them, destroyed them, annihilated them, finished them up. Quran Kareem is the shiar, as we have explained, that it is protected because it is divinely protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the person who goes against Quran, he will definitely come under the wrath and the anger and the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, how the Quran is protected is very simple, as we have been talking about, that the text, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used the Hafiz, and the meaning Allah Jalla Majdahu uses ulama ikram, and the writing is preserved by those master calligraphers, and the reading by the Qari, and the general public protect the ayats by practicing upon them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now has put us into a responsibility and an obligation that those that are protecting the Quran, we also supposed to also protect them, love them, defend them. That is why we should not be saying anything against those who are protecting the deen of Allah. Especially now when it comes to the Quran, then the Hafiz, the Qari, the ulama, the Katib of the Quran, and in general the Muslim who's practicing upon the ayat of the Quran, upon the injunction of the Quran, upon the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why if we or anybody has to speak ill or say statements against the Hafiz or the Qari or the Katib of Quran or the ulama who rightfully, authentically, with piety and foresight interpret Quran Kareem, and the general Muslim who practice upon a clear ayat of Quran, if a person mocks at them, jeers at them, makes blasphemous statements against them, will go out of the fold of Islam. This is very serious in nature. Unfortunately, that worldwide people have got a tendency of disrespecting the Hafiz, the Alim, the Qari, and they hold the Hafiz and the Qari and the Alim in low esteem, and even belittle them, and mock at them, and jeer at them, let alone the bad treatment that is being meted out to the Alim and the Hafiz and the Qari, that they are underpaid. And that is a different topic on its own. But it is also indirectly, unfortunately, degrading and disrespecting and dishonoring the Quran Kareem. Because the Hafiz and the Alim and the Qari, they are the upholders of the Quran, and they are the defenders and the protectors of Quran, and they are those who are protecting its text and its meaning and its recitation and its writing and its practice. Now when we talk of the Quran, it is stated that he who respects Quran, Allah Jalla Majdahu elevates such a person. It is stated about a great alim that Allama Badr Alam Rahmatullah Alayhi, that when he passed away, he was buried in Jannatul Baqi, and then when his body was exhumed, it was intact. And when his family members were consulted how this happened, then the unanimous decision was that he did not spread his legs towards a Hafiz, irrespective of the age of the Hafiz. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to his status, that is his kalam. That is why he is going to protect his kalam, and those who are the defenders of his kalam and those who are metaphorically protecting his kalam, he is also going to protect it. Now Quran Kareem, some ulama have made some beautiful divisions that there are 6,666 ayats of Quran Kareem. 1,000 pertain to promises, 1,000 pertain to warning, 1,000 pertain to orders, 1,000 pertain to stories, and 1,000 pertain to prohibitions, 1,000 to lessons, and 250 to halal, 250 to haram, 100 to zikr, and 66 miscellaneous. Also, we must understand something, that when we are talking of the shiar of Allah, Quran, Kaaba, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Salah, then automatically it is not only these four, but it is all those things that are attached to it. For example, the Quran. Shah Waliullah Delvi Rahmatullah alayhi, and the great scholars are identifying the shiar of Allah and giving us the major shiars, the chief symbols. Now, when we talk of the Quran, that means we are talking of all reliable, authentic literature, Islamic literature. We're talking of the ahadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the seerah of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the seerah of the Khulafai Rashideen, the books of fiqh, the books of tasawwuf, the books, the tafasir, the commentaries of the Quran Kareem, the commentaries of the ahadith. So anything to do with Islamic literature will also be respected and honored and loved. And the institutes that teach Quran Kareem and teach how we should uplift and promote and learn and study to make salah, and teach how we should learn how to practice upon the sunnah of Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they also will come under the shiar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means we are talking about the darulooms, the madrasas, the institutes of learning, the makatib, the asatiza, they all will have to be respected. Now we can understand clearly why we have to respect them, because we are at times directly and at times indirectly we are respecting the kalam of Allah, the speech of Allah. Remember that when we have got the Quran Kareem, all the Adillah Arba, the four sources are coming from there. They are linked to the Quran Kareem. The Sunnah of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Hadith of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, fiqh, jurisprudence, rulings, and injunctions. Where did they come from? When we study carefully, we know it has come from the Quran, it has come from the Sunnah, it has come from the Hadith of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has come from the continuous practice of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has come from the Sunnah of the Khulafai Rashideen. Now that means we have to respect fiqh also, we have to respect Islamic jurisprudence also. Unfortunately, in our age and time, what has happened, that people now, they read a few books and write a few articles. They think now they are far above jurisprudence, and they think they can make their own laws and own decisions. This also is showing disrespect. That the great illustrious imams that have passed by, their piety and insight, their knowledge, their taqwa, and their ability to extract the laws and deduce the laws and come up with the laws of jurisprudence was a blessing for Muslim Ummah throughout the centuries. So every field, the more we show respect to it, the more we will be able to benefit from it. If we show respect to Quran Kareem and the scholars, the mufassireen of the Quran Kareem, the commentators of Quran Kareem, then we will be able to draw benefit. Similarly, the Sunnah and the Ahadith of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Seerah of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when we show respect to it and the scholars behind it, we will be able to draw benefit from it and gain the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala, and will be able to subsequently act upon it. When we show respect to the scholars of jurisprudence and their insight and knowledge and foresight, then we'll be able to draw benefit from it. Similarly, the masters of tasawwuf and the Sufi scholars and the saints of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we respect and love them, then we'll be able to draw benefit from their works and their activities. So all Shariat is saying that we should love and respect the shiar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the shiar is the symbol. And this symbol of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is visible. We can see it. Just like the Quran Kareem, we see it in text form, and we see it being protected by the scholars, the various levels and degrees of scholars behind it. If we do not respect the shiar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we do not respect the symbols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we should get ready, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to He himself is going to defend and uphold the shiar of Allah, because it is linked to Him. And anything that is linked to Him, once it is linked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then if you go against it, you are going to call for war against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And no one up to date has won a war against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now when we look at the Quran Kareem from any angle and every angle, it has been protected throughout the ages. How? Firstly, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken the responsibility upon Himself to protect Quran Kareem. And He has deputized for that protection the Qari, the Alim, the Hafiz, the Katib, and the general Muslim to practice upon Quran Kareem, so that we can see easily, alhamdulillah, that it is protected. And this is happening via a divine plan. Now we fully have to understand that our reverence to Quran Kareem is that we should listen attentively to it, act upon its teaching. When Quran is recited, to remain silent. And when there is the ayat of tilawat, to go into sajda. And also that we should touch Quran Kareem with wuzu. Now, respected elders, that the second major shiar identified by Shah Waliullah Delvi Rahmatullah alayhi is the Kaaba. Now it is stated in verse 96 of Surah Al-Imran that the Kaaba was the first house that Allah had constructed for mankind. A narration in Bayhaqi's Dalailul Nabuwa from Hazrat Abdullah ibn Amir radiallahu ta'ala who tells us that Hazrat Adam first constructed the Kaaba, which then stood until the floods during the time of Nuh alayhi salam. It was then destroyed without a trace and then reconstructed on the very same site by Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. This has remained intact to this date. Now we know that alhamdulillah that the Kaaba has passed through various stages. Historically, the builders of the Kaaba have been 12. First, the Malaika, then Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, then Hazrat Sheet alayhi salam. Fourthly, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam. Then, fifthly, the Amalika tribe. And sixthly, the Jur'um tribe. Seventhly, Qusay bin Kilab. Eighthly, the Quraysh tribe. Ninth, Hazrat Abdullah ibn Zubair in the 65th year of Hijri. 10th, Hajjaj bin Yusuf, 74th year of Hijri. 11th, the Turkish Sultan Murad in 104 after Hijri. And 12thly, King Fahd bin Abdul Aziz, 1417 Hijri. Now all these details, how it was constructed and the various levels and stages of its construction, if you go to my website alislam.co.za, I have explained in detail that how these various constructions took place and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used various people to construct the Kaaba, and to what extent the Kaaba was constructed during various times and eras, and how it was being done physically, who did it, when they did it, how they came across this, where they took the rocks from. All that has been explained in my lectures concerning the Kaaba, concerning the construction. Now, Hazrat Shah Waliullah explains that the people during the time of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam had constructed temples in the names of the spirits of the sun and other stars, because they felt the need to focus their attention towards something tangible and concrete, which was built only in the name of a higher being. People then paid homage to these sites in order to gain proximity to the higher being. When this became a common and popular way of thinking, it became necessary that they also be a house erected in the name of Allah Ta'ala, by which people can gain closeness to Him. Allah therefore instructed Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam to construct the Kaaba and then to invite mankind to come for Hajj, to make tawaf and thereby draw close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this has been mentioned in the ayah 27 of Surah Hajj. Now what we can learn from this, that previous nations, and especially during the time of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, that people began to construct temples, and they had something to focus upon, something tangible and something concrete. And they, by doing so, they felt that this was going to get them spiritual heights and link them to the higher being. And Islam is a natural, obvious deen. It caters for the inner flowing blood and inclination and tendency of man. At the outset, we know clearly that we do not worship the Kaaba, because even if the Kaaba is not there, we will still face in the direction. We have repeated this, that even historically speaking, the Hajar Aswad was taken away few times, but still Istilam was being made. And we do not worship any stone or any rock. And this kissing of the Hajar Aswad has got substitute upon substitute upon substitute when you are there, that you can either kiss it, or you can make istilam by showing the hand, or you can point a stick towards it, or you can be walking while making istilam, or riding while making istilam, or seated on the kajawa while making istilam, or you can be seated on a horse or a camel or a mule while making istilam. All that is there. Now, when it was noticed that all the people began to have a common and a popular way of thinking, then it became necessary that there also be a house erected in the name of Allah, by which people can gain closeness to Him. So this house is a means to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by all the activities around the house. That means the tawaf, the salah, the safa, marwa, going into the state of ihram, drinking of the zamzam, crying at the multazam, making istilam at the Hajar Aswad, and making istilam at the Rukn Yamani, and making salah in the hatim. All these acts make one go nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as stated in the famous hadith that 120 mercies descend upon the Kaaba, 60 for those who are making tawaf, 40 for those who are making salah, and 20 for those who are just merely looking at Kaaba. So all the acts around the house, around the Baytullah, are acts leading to the pleasure of Allah, are acts leading to proximity, for gaining nearness and proximity unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now that we have to understand that the gist of this discussion is that because of Allah's mercy and grace, Allah had the Kaaba erected for the benefit of mankind when it was required for the spiritual reformation of mankind. When the honor for the Kaaba penetrated the hearts of man, and they started to regard its honor as Allah's honor, the Hajj was made obligatory, and man was instructed to revere the Kaaba. Amongst the acts of reverence enjoined with regard to the Kaaba are: it is necessary to be pure when making tawaf of the Kaaba. The hadith states that tawaf is like salah, meaning that just as purity and proper dressing is necessary for salah, so too are the prerequisites for tawaf. And this surah Baqarah verse 144, 149, 150 makes it clear that it is necessary for a person performing salah to face towards the Kaaba. A hadith in Bukhari and Muslim tells us that it is reprehensible for a person to face towards the Kaaba when relieving himself, or even to face his back to the Kaaba in this condition. So the Kaaba, alhamdulillah, is a place for spiritual reformation. And this spiritual reformation, when it began to penetrate and affect and influence the spiritual status of man, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Hajj necessary. And Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained the rites and the rituals and the acts and the activities of Hajj. Now, we who go to the Kaaba, whether it be for Umrah or for Hajj, then we should know that what sacrifices have been done there, and how valuable the place is. And we should understand why it has become a place of spiritual elevation and reformation for mankind. Unfortunately, that we go and we come back, and we are the semblance of what has been written, that if you take the donkey of Isa alayhi salam and laden it with books, and you let it go around the Kaaba, then it still remains a donkey. Similarly, unfortunately, is many who go for Umrah repeatedly, who go for Hajj repeatedly, but no benefit. When they go in one condition, they come back in the very same condition. They go not fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, come back not fearing Allah. They go not regular in salat, come back not regular in salat. They go not being concerned about giving off their zakat and charities, come back in that same situation. They go not in hijab, come back not in hijab. They go not respecting and behaving well, come back not respecting and behaving well. They go and unfortunately even behave badly there too and sin there too, whereas sin is multiplied in those blessed lands of Makkah and Medina. And people go there not realizing the spiritual potentiality of the place and not realizing that why we are going. And the major cause of going in one condition and coming back in the same condition is that a person does not value the sacrifices when he goes to the Kaaba. The person goes, and whilst he is in the haram, he is struck with awe, and he now makes tawaf, etc. and even weeps. But as soon as the person leaves the Kaaba, then he's caught in the glamour and the glitter of all the high-rising buildings and the shopping complexes. Unfortunately, the person loses focus. The person goes repeatedly and comes back, does not even know the history behind the sacrifices there. So if we really want to enjoy the spiritual enlightenment of our trips to the Kaaba, whether it be for Umrah or Hajj, then we should study systematically what happened there, how the Kaaba was constructed, what blood and what sweat went behind the various constructions, and what was the spiritual elevation and status of those who constructed the Kaaba, the Malaika, Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, Hazrat Sheet alayhi salam, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, Hazrat Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi salam. The various steps of history that under what difficulty was the construction taken place. Then the Safa, the Marwa, the running of Hazrat Hajira radiyallahu ta'ala anha, the coming about of the well of Zamzam, when it came about, how it came about, and due to the sacrifices of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, due to the sacrifices of Hazrat Hajira remaining there without food and fruit, without water to drink in the barren land, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards the effort of sacrifice on both husband and wife, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hazrat Hajira radiyallahu ta'ala anha. And today we have been blessed with Zamzam that is been pumping water throughout these ages. Why the running between the Safa and the Marwa? And when we start thinking carefully and pondering that the history of the Maqam Ibrahim and the history of the Hajar Aswad and the history of the Hatim and the various movements around the Kaaba, we would come to realize that now I am going there, I am doing an action, and why I am doing this action. And when I realize what is behind the action, what is the historical evidence behind the action, and what is the rationale behind the action, then the person will come to realize that instead of getting gifts and presents, let me focus on getting hidayat and guidance and tawfiq of doing the amal which are required there. We unfortunately are going there and we do not even appreciate that just like salah, tawaf it is. Just like salah, there are preconditions of salah, there are preconditions of tawaf. Just like salah, you have to be in the state of wuzu, and tawaf also you have to be in the state of wuzu. There are those who go for Hajj and Umrah unfortunately, basic, simple laws we do not take into cognizance, and we go away and perform Hajj and Umrah and come back. That is why there is no effect happening on the heart. The mercies and the barakah of the Kaaba that are pouring down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not entering the heart. Why? Because the heart is not focused on the Kaaba and its activities around the Kaaba. The heart is focused on every other thing around the walls of Masjid al-Haram and around the buildings and the high rises and the shopping complexes and the gossiping in the foyers and the discussions in the lobbies. Unfortunately, our time is being wasted. And how fortunate we are that the Kaaba is the center of the world. There is a very interesting book written, Kaaba, Center of the World, and from a very highly technical point of view, that book has been written. It is available in the English language to prove from a geographical, astronomical, and trigonomical point of view that the Kaaba is the center of the world. And from there, and here also we have to understand something, that whatever happens there, eventually in the Muslim world, the ripples will be felt. Because, have you ever thrown a stone in the pond or in the lake or in still water? When you throw the stone, where the stone landed, immediately around it you will find circles. And these circles around that area, they will be intense, but they will go far-reaching. And these circles at the end will disappear. But that effect of that stone falling in the water, it is as if to say, like that Kaaba, whatever happens there, its spiritual influence, its influence morally, socially, politically, it goes throughout the entire world, and the Muslims are affected. You must study history and see that at times certain things happen in Haram. Immediately you'll find a repercussion happening throughout the entire Muslim spiritual world. So we should value this. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it such that we face the Kaaba wherever we are. This is the uniformity, and this is the istimayat. This is the congregational nature of Islam. Islam is not about me, myself, my shadow, my factory, my shop, my firm, my family, my tribe, my nation. Islam is not about this. Islam is about the ummah of Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the feeling should be for the ummah of Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because Islam, if you look carefully, is promoting ijtimaiyat, it's promoting congregational concern, it's promoting congregational ibadat, it's promoting congregational giving out of zakat. When there is the stress laid, for example, in salah, that when a person performs salat individually, it is valid, he will be rewarded. But as soon as he performs salah in jama'ah, then the value goes up 25 times according to one narration, 27 times according to one narration. Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani Rahmatullah alayhi, he explains in detail all those 25, 27 benefits of salat with jama'ah. If you go to my website, alislam.co.za, you will find that elucidation of Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani, rahmatullah alayhi, that he explains in detail these 25 and 27 benefits. And when a person now performs salat in Jama'ah, in masjid, he's given more reward. Why? He's promoting more ijtimaiyat. And when it comes to Jummah, the sawab is much more. Why? There is further promotion of the concept of ijtimaiyat. And Eid, a person is rewarded. And it is a show of strength and energy of the Muslims. Then we see Hajj. That because of the ijtimaiyat nature, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy descends more. And we all know that the sawab in the haram is more compared to the sawab to our local masajid. Why again? Because of ijtimaiyat. And when we go in Arafat and cry before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again mercy pours down because of the day of Arafat, the plains of Arafat, and the ijtimaiyat in Arafat. So Islam is promoting ijtimaiyat. That is why there is no one person facing east or west, another one facing north, south. No, everyone is facing because of ijtimaiyat and unity of ibadat and purpose, facing towards the Kaaba. The Kaaba is our Qibla, and this is a great strength and show of unity. No other religion has got this system where ibadat, focus on ibadat, is in one direction only towards the Kaaba or towards the point where the Kaaba is. And we are so privileged because we are standing in the line of mercy, because the mercies are pouring upon the Kaaba, distributed to the entire world. And when we are focused to the Kaaba, then we are standing in the direct line of receiving the rays of mercy, the rays of boons and favors. That is why amongst the etiquettes of reciting Quran Kareem is obviously to be in wuzu, but also facing towards Kaaba, facing Qibla. Why? To be in the line of mercy and to be in the direction where the mercy is flowing from, and to be focused upon the central force and to central energy and central point where mercy is pouring out from. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has catered for us. And now it is like Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stated that tawaf is like salat. But in salat, obviously we cannot eat, we cannot drink, we cannot talk. But in tawaf, these are allowed. If a person eats while he's in tawaf, his tawaf is valid. If a person drinks something, for example, the person has to drink water because of the heat, etc., it's absolutely permissible. A person answers a question, then that is permissible. Yes, if a person wastes his time, and we have seen this, unfortunately, people whilst in tawaf answering their cell phones even, and engage in futile discussions of things that have got no benefit. That is obviously makruh. To such an extent, it has been stated that to look into Quran Kareem and read Quran Kareem whilst in tawaf is makruh. Why? Because you are going to cause a hindrance to others who are making tawaf. And tawaf and Hajj, remember that the laws of Allah, the ibadats of Allah are very simple in nature. And because it is a simple, universal deen, because again of its ijtimaiyat, it will be easy. Fasting, for example, if you look at it, it's very easy. And abstinence from 3 things. And if you look at Hajj, Farz of Hajj is very easy, 3. To be in the state of Ihram, to go to Arafat and to make Tawaf and Ziyarah, you're Haji. So Tawaf also, it is very easy. It's not complicated. People, I mentioned this ahead of time, because when it comes to those discussions, I will make it again. But here I would like to mention it, because the Hajj is coming, that many are those who have got the means of going for Hajj. They have got the wealth for going for Hajj. They've got the health to go for Hajj. And they are also aspiring to go for Hajj. But somewhere along the line, people have told them that at this place you have to read this dua. At that place you have to read that dua. And when you're making tawaf, these duas. And when you have to go to Muzdalifah, Arafat, Mina, these duas. So the person, because first of all, perhaps is not conversant with the Arabic language, he cannot read it, or perhaps he thinks he has to memorize all these duas, then that which is farz upon the person refuses to go and perform it. How sad. But remember that if a person just knows and he can read the talbiyah from a book, or he just reads it after listening to it from his friend, or those around him are reading and he reads it, that is all is required for any dua as far as the Hajj or Umrah is concerned. We have also written and translated books which are on our site, that in the first round you read this, and second round you read this, and third round you read this. And when you're making Safa and Marwa, that the first you read this, and the second time from Safa, from Marwa to Safa, you read this. All those are desirable, they are liked. But the bottom line is, it is simple. If you go there and you make dua in your own language, in your vernacular, whether you are making tawaf, or whether you are between Safa and Marwa, whether you are in Mina or Arafat or Muzdalifah, if you call out to Allah Ta'ala understands all languages. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is waiting for us to call. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants us to call so that we get His mercy and we get His pleasure. Now, another point where I'll start and continue, inshallah, next week, is that all the shi'ars, in the beginning of the discussion I mentioned something, that if we respect the shi'ars, Allah will love us, Allah will honor us, Allah will give us dignity. And if we disrespect, then we are going to be looking for trouble. That's one point. Secondly, that just like the Quran Kareem, it filters down the respect that we show for Quran, will filter down to the institutes that teach the Quran and also to other Islamic literature. Similarly, the Kaaba, it will filter down now. And just like the Kaaba is a shi'ar of Allah, because it is classified Baytullah, the Masajida are min al-Buyutillah, they are from the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, the respect and the love we show for Kaaba is the respect also we have to show for the Masajid and the madrasas, the makatibs, the darulums, the awqaf properties, the institutes of learning. All of these also will have to be respected, not worshipped, but respected and honored. And the adab and the mannerism, the ethics and the mannerism that we display, that when we go to the Kaaba, we have to learn it in our local masajids and our Jamia masjids, etc., that how we enter, how we sit, how we behave, what we say, what we're not supposed to say, and how we live. We stay in the masjid, how we come out of the masjid, all those things. Simple things, for example, that we do not put our feet facing the Kaaba. Just like in the masjid, we do not sit and we do not fling our feet towards the Qibla direction. We do not spit in the masjid, nor in the mataf areas or in the Kaaba. Yeah, alhamdulillah, that we can safely say that you can make out a person coming from the countries of South Africa, Malawi, Zimbabwe, etc., that Zambia, they behave quite well in the mataf area, in the masjid. You will never find a person who has got good Islamic ta'lim that a person will be shouting or yelling in the Masjid al-Haram, whether it is Makkah or Medina. You will never find a person spitting or being rowdy or rude or shouting above his voice or discussing above his voice in those masajid. There is an article that we have translated by Maulana Safdar, Rahmatullah alayhi. It's called Raising of Your Voices in the Masajid. It is on our website, alislam.co.za. Famous incident is written there that Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he found some were talking aloud. So he threw some pebbles in that direction, according to one narration, and called them. According to another, he sent someone to call them. And then he asked them that, from where are you all? They said, no, we are from Taif. He said, Wallah, if you were from Medina, I should have whiplashed you for raising your voices in the masjid. And we have taken granted, addressing especially the males, that the adabs and ethics and mannerism as far as the masjid is concerned. Like simple thing, no business supposed to be spoken in the masjid. It is unethical to do so. And if a person, for example, asks you about your family, etc., and that is due to dire necessity, that will be permissible. Because the house of Allah, the masjid, the Baytullah, these are places where total remembrance of Allah is supposed to be taking place. Or ta'aleem, or learning about halal and haram, or discussing about deen, or the Quran, the tafsir is supposed to be made and listened and taught, or the sunnat of Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam supposed to be taught and learned, or the fiqh supposed to be taught and learned, or the dua, there's place for dua and recitation and making tilawat of Quran Kareem. And to sit and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in abundance in the masjid. Not indulge in any vain and futile discussion, especially in the masjid. To be there quietly. Unfortunately, in some places that where dini activity is taking place, people, as soon as the speech is over or the nikah is over, then there is total disrespect of the masjid going on. Once the nikah has been made, then people stand in the masjid, hug and embrace each other and start congratulating each other and shouting above their voices, greeting. All this supposed to be done outside. That is why I notice that, alhamdulillah, in certain places that the imams of the masjid and the ulama of the masjid, as soon as they perform the nikah, they request the parties, please go outside into the courtyard and meet and greet and smile and you can have a good word, etc. But do all that laughing and joking outside the masjid. The masjid is not a place for laughter and jokes and cackling and gossiping and backbiting and talking about this and that. We should free our masajids from all these things that are totally against the spirit of the masjid. The masjid is place for ta'aleem, tarbiyat, spiritual upliftment, making the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala individually, and also listening to the bayans, listening to the lectures, striving in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the activities of the masjid, learning of halal and haram and the injunctions of Allah and the sunnat of Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the laws pertaining to the deen. So the masjid in that way is a spiritual house for us, not by utilizing it in any other way. And if you are going to stay in the masjid, then make the niyat, the intention of i'tikaf, and you will be rewarded for a nafil i'tikaf and optional i'tikaf. Before concluding, I will just say that we are going to explain that if you go against the shiar of Allah, then await the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Famous story of Naila and Asif, that they committed the heinous immoral crime of fornication in the Kaaba. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they dishonored the Kaaba, they disrespected the Kaaba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He transformed them into stone. And in those days, when they were transformed into stone, they were kept outside the door of the Kaaba. When they were kept outside the door of the Kaaba, people knew what a heinous crime they had committed. First of all, that because of their disrespect, they got the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately. For committing this heinous crime, the wrath of Allah was displayed immediately. And this is a lesson for us, that sinning in the blessed places, and especially the masajids, the haramains and our local masajids, that we should be extremely cautious and we should behave properly, perfectly, and we should behave like how good mu'min, how perfect Muslims behave. Their statues were kept outside the door of the Kaaba. But as time went by, the people took it and placed it one on Mount Safa and one on Mount Marwa as points, that this was the starting point and this was the ending point of the Sa'i. Then as time went by, then people began to worship the idols of Asif and Naila. And when Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam came, destroying the inside idols and the pictures and the carvings inside the Kaaba, Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam also destroyed all the idols, Habul, Lat, Manat, Uzza, all the outside idols also that were in and around Makkatul Mukarramah, and those idols that were in Taif, etc. And also Naila, Asif, all Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam destroyed. Point I want to make is that if you show disrespect to the Kaaba, to the masjid, to the shi'ar of Allah, to the symbol of Allah, then await the punishment of Allah. Be a person Muslim or non-Muslim, then the punishment will come. We know that those who tried and they behaved in a unruly manner concerning the Babri Masjid, what happened to them? Now it has been written about their fate, those who initiated this and those who were first dropping down and making shaheed that masjid. What has become to their physique, their physical condition, their mental condition, and reports now are floating that they have become blind, etc. Throughout the world, if you have to search, that whoever goes against those who disrespect Quran Kareem have been changed into animals, etc. And those who have flung Quran Kareem around, they also have been punished immediately by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who wanted to change the Quran Kareem laws and the laws of Islam and change the azan and alter the Quran Kareem, they had to face the calamities of the highness of the waves and destroyed and pushed down into the oceans, and they were destroyed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in our times we can see that those who go against the shiar of Allah, sooner or later Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes hold of them and destroys them and completely annihilates them. So our responsibility and duty is to respect and love the shiar of Allah, honor the shiar of Allah, and defend the shiar of Allah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant us ability to become pious and righteous Muslims. Wa akhiru da'wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.